to share some of this new fiction that's been published by Sampson Lowe Publishers, who are based out in Surbiton and were founded in 1793, so it's quite an intimidating list to be on. The work itself is somewhere in between fiction and poetry, and in an ambiguous and esoteric way, it tells the story of a property developer. A huddle of people stand on a canal looking west. They stand then on Scrubs Lane. They close around some of the boundaries of a cemetery. There is one among them who is speaking. There is the intimate, regular, predictable ferocity of development. It's a profession that emerges from a great school of nonchalance, they might as well be saying to each other. The group's tight form is aired, the juniors fan to the edges. At the heart of the circle remains their plan for the future of this land. Sometimes the developer will marvel at themselves, commended by their peers and colleagues, for their ability to grasp a place and what it needs. They then plan how to build. There are so many details assailing them at this moment, the moment of conception, that it is inevitable that small things might be lost. There are difficulties conceiving, and the thought enters their head, is it even worth trying? Why not use a design from the last project? That seemed to work fine. What is left is the comfort that the development will soon be upright. It will understand the landscape. Once bereft of happiness, this quadrant of London, a little too far west, what does one mean by west, will now be designed to engender happiness in its new residents. The bows of glass and string of plastics playing. Real people will roam across Wormwood Scrubs, trademark, on every leisure date mandated, which will be part of their pay package, which covers their mortgage. On the grass, they can forget that mortgage if just for a moment. Their dogs will nip at the ankles of strangers, and they will ask, after apologizing to the strangers, who are they? I've never seen them here before. The developer, working to make things better by utilizing space properly, is given permission by mayors. And in the spirit of magnanimity, they are willing to leave the landmarks the few locals who attend the contemplations claim are important. Surrounded by amenities, preserved forever as a testament of their open-handedness. A few eye rolls, everyone is busy, taking some pretty strong sleeping tablets. All development is a matter of structure. It is a word that might be used in learning to live a well-lived life. You might find the word self before the word development. You might hear the words, take a moment to think about the words I am saying. The developer is active in ordering, aiming to make some sequences of events more likely at the expense of other events. Happy, joy-filled living will increase. The statistics will show this. This is concrete fact. And the less resonant of existences will fall away. Maybe one day they will be extinguished. And if that would happen anywhere, it would be in Old Oak. In Old Oak, the business of anticipation is thriving. It will be a few years yet before the stubborn presence of things resistant to such resonance uncovers the limit, if there is one, to the ordering intentions of development, but that's fine. Nothing happens overnight. This is a long-term deal. We're thinking in centuries, aren't we? Those, shall we say, revelations might not reveal the feebleness of such organisation for a few years after project completion. Then those outlandish outliers will become merely a crevice in the old oak, through which chaos will be reluctantly and depressingly sighted from some 8th floor glass balcony. It's too late then, isn't it? The developer has to assume in almost every place that there are people who are actually from that place, as strange as that seems. But then what constitutes the from? Is it duration or birth? The developer wants to see them as whole, as each maintaining their own fully realized internal world of perception. To not just be aware of this implicitly, but to be explicitly considering it, knowing it as development taking place. Well, come on. There are limitations to how much can be done. people needs flats in which to live. And these new people will one day be from this place, and this will force future developers to know that there's a history of people's lives in every space. And these people, often beset by suffering or tragedy, will have more time to tell their story in the future. What becomes remarkable about the cemetery, now that the older development brochure has listed it as a park, is that it is not metaphorical, but literal, and by being so creates a lightness of perception which will allow residents a clearer mind than when they were occupied, perhaps beyond choice, with the petty things of life. It does so by conjuring a vision of fate. So I have two more of these little vignettes to read, and I would like to invite you down, as there's just a dozen of us, into the catacombs, where I will read them. So, they are covered, but there are human remains down there, so if you don't like that, don't tell me. The development seeks to reinforce through the sheer weight of its physical and visual presence an accident that is a particular way of knowing the world. Inscrutable building, insatiable building, this accident is a stable way forward, for it's the people over the architect, the dark commerce over the city planner. Well, this is hinted at, and is so properly, so further, round the corner, down by the canal and on the canal. And this is not to say people, the locals, believe this instability to be correct. Rather, since it is impossible to achieve real certainty regarding external reality, one might as well settle for the least troublesome paradigm. What will change? Oh well, there'll be a few new houses, new jobs in the area, so Harrow Road doesn't seem a problem anymore, as it's an archetype for chaos anyway. The developer wakes up suddenly. They realise the key to this project, to fight fire with fire. The cemetery could be the most perfect stop for the bounds of development, for it is quintessentially residential, only the residents are dead. The developer is sad. His plans didn't get a positive reaction when he released images online. Reconstruction after the ravages of war, rebuilding of devastated areas is little more than an event of historic periodicity. Once, everything was destroyed. Men were mobilized, children hid in the countryside. Slowly, with determination, everything, a whole civilization was invented, prepared, remembered, outlined, initiated, and returned. The developer is not a pessimist, just the cemetery makes them remember. Inscriptions of "Be done, where thy will has worn away." The far wall of Western Cemetery is a little literal line. Many dividing lines here at the far bounds of the scrubs, with the hidden rusted black monkey bar pagodas, with their built-in benches, with the houses that appear perfectly appealing for all intents and purposes in modern red brick, but sitting directly on the power line rail tracks that emerge from the junction itself, and the canal as it intercedes stripes across the neck of the city.
All of it has a borderland quality. Though he was punished in the sight of men, yet was his hope full of immortality, says the grave of Stanislaus Dawson Norowski. Let all thy ends thou canst at be thy countries, thy gods, and truth them if thou fall'st, thou fallest a blessed martyr. On your charity pray. We are surrounded by the dead, by us, sacred to the memory, vault of the late, the immortal body.
Thank you very much.